Hey everybody, this is Make Shit Happen, and you know what? I've got Kathy on the line from Venice, Italy, and I have got Patty on the line from somewhere in Florida. I think it's called Sarasota.
We call it that.
Okay, so I'm going to say, Kathy, what is on your mind this week? And Patty, what is on your mind and what is pissing you guys off about what's going on in this country? I don't care who starts this conversation, but let's get it going.
All right, well, I'm going to tell you what I'm pissed off about, but I'm really pissed off about myself. And I'm really pissed off that right now I am so drawn to flipping through the news apps to find out what's going on about the Mar-a-Lago raid. And I can't even believe that this is an issue. I can't even believe that this happened. But the fact of the matter is that we still have Trump in the news, that we're discussing that he may get the nomination, that we're talking about Biden, who said he wasn't going to run, now says he's going to run. And we're talking about two old white men that neither one of them, even if they were both fabulous and perfect, should be our choices. You cannot be 80 years old and run the most powerful country in the world. And I'm American living in Europe, and I can tell you that this is exactly what Europeans are looking at and kind of finding ridiculous. So, Margaret, I'm just thinking, in a woman's world, would this be happening? Like, no. I just happen to think that a woman who's 80 years old would have the sense to go, I'll advise you, but I certainly shouldn't be the one sitting behind the desk. So that's what's got me riled up, and just kind of mad at myself that I keep looking at the news feed, because I just need to
Yeah. Patty, what about?
I have to say that I've been really distracted a lot this week because I've been doing sort of the same thing that Kathy just described. Every morning is like a new thing, whether, who it is today, what it is today, what's going on. I've been very distracted, but I will say that I'm also incredibly encouraged this week. And part of why I'm saying that is because I am seeing, and it's mostly online, they're not big news sources covering it, but it's really grassroots women organizations around the country and what they're doing to impact the elections that are happening right now in the United States. So there are primaries today. There are primaries, there have been primaries every day, and they're going to keep coming. The 23rd, which is next Tuesday, is actually voting day in Florida. I will say that for everybody if you don't know that somehow. But some of the things I've seen this week. So for instance, there are a group of women in Missouri who, one woman in her neighborhood thought, what can I do? How can I change anything that's happening here? So she got all of her neighbors together, and then she found out how to get postcards. She went to an organization. I think she either went to Swing Left or she went to Red, Wine, and Blue, which is another online organization of women, and found out how to get postcards. She had them send her postcards for elections in other cities and states, and her community got together and they wrote something like 500 postcards and mailed them. And they all held up their postcards and they all took a photo and went like, yay. Those groups of women are impacting what's happening right now as people are going to vote. And that is really encouraging for me. So while I'm distracted by all this other stuff that's going on, and I agree with you about everything that you said, Kathy, but I feel more encouraged this week. And I have not been feeling encouraged for a long time, especially since the whole, SCOTUS and the whole Roe v. Wade thing. I have been crazy outraged. And now I'm seeing other women, younger women, older women, it doesn't make any difference, women of color, white women, Democrats, Republicans, independents, just like what happened in Kansas, it's happening. And it's slowly happening. And the press is not really covering it.
Okay, so this is what is not necessarily pissing me off this week. I'm just continuing to be confused about this. And we are talking about women activating something and men in office. I mean, we should not be having conversations about Trump anymore. He should not even be in the news. Why we allow that to happen is beyond me. But my confusion is, and I ask Patty this all the time because it is related to women in power. Who is our vice president?
Oh, I know. You love to do that.
Where is she?
Where is she? Okay. What is she activating?
No, it's very funny. So I have to say to you, she actually just left on vacation yesterday, and they're spending 10 days in Hawaii because it's their 8th wedding anniversary. Okay. So I do
Yay.
know she's been,
I
but
hope she sits down and writes some postcards for the swing states
well,
while she's got her Mai Tai.
here's what I would say to you. Again, I would, if you are listening to this, if you are not following her, and there are many ways you can follow Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. She's got innumerable sites and platforms. Follow one, because every day she's telling us what she's out there doing. And she has traveled the entire country in the last month. And she's
But
doing
is it impactful enough for us to see and hear more about her? When in essence, we hear more about Trump and Biden. I don't really.
Well, let's think about this. Who is running the news stations? Who's running the news station? It's men.
Right.
It's men. How much
Right.
time do women get unless they do something outrageously bad, mostly? I don't even think if they do something outrageously good, they get any news time.
Here's another thing that I think has been really encouraging this week. And this is sort of a news thing because I do sort
Patty,
of watch.
hold on one second. Can I just interrupt and say one thing about what you said? So everybody, I was really motivated to try to take action as a foreigner living in another country. And for the first time, I registered to vote in the midterm because I normally just do general election. I also went to a lot of these, all the websites that Patty gave us last time. I thought maybe I could do postcards from here. It didn't make any sense because I had to send them to my daughter, who then had to send them here, then I'd have to send them back to my daughter. Anyway, it didn't make sense, so I just donated money. But here, listening to Patty saying that women are actually doing this, I really challenge you all, get your friends together, crack open wine, make margaritas, whatever it is that you do, meditate together if you don't drink before you do it, and then just sit down and write some postcards together. Because what I found out, thanks to Patty, that I did not know, is a handwritten letter or postcard influences voters to go out more than something printed does. Don't want to talk anymore about that, but I just say, Patty, I'm glad that women are doing it. I really think it's something fun for everybody else to do.
There are, I'll say this too, and again, I say you have to go, I mean, it's really online and there are a lot of grassroots organizations. You have to find them. They're not difficult to find, believe me. That's what I look at pretty much every day. So for instance, last 2 weeks ago, the woman who created Red Wine and Blue started as just a small site online, right? Now has thousands of women members around the country, around the world, literally. She was on Joy Reid Out about 2 weeks ago. And Katie Paris is her name. And she talked about the beginning and what they're doing. And they are really now reaching women in even like rural areas where they really don't have any other way to organize. And there are now meetings all around the country. There's another group called Women of Southwest Florida. I mean, these organizations are everywhere in your states, and they are doing rallies around the state. Like I think next Sunday, they're actually doing one in Sarasota. So, there are a lot of avenues to get out and become involved that work for you, that work with your families and your jobs and the time frame, your parameters. So they are there. But Kathy, the fact that you are just thinking more about paying more attention to voting or to the midterm than you've done before, that alone is impactful. And I know this is, people say this and it's like every single vote makes a difference. I don't care what anybody says. Every single small action like voting, it makes a difference. And the difference could be getting a woman in office versus a man in office. And to your point, do I think we'd have a much better world? Yeah, I do. I absolutely believe that. If we had Hillary Clinton as president right now, would we be in a very different place? You better believe we would be. And I believe that with my whole heart. So, I think the way we have to get more women involved, you have to get them activated, and then you have to have them hold office. And, it has to be the 35, 40-year-olds. I mean, right now, I don't know which states they are. There are 2 19-year-old guys who are both running for local office. And their first names are both Sam. I can't remember their names. But they have been, again, online on these grassroots sites. And these are kids who are in college. And they're like, you know what? We're sick to death of the crap that's going on in our town, our city. and we're going to actually run for office. So, that to me is also really encouraging.
Hey, I want to say something that a person that I don't always agree with everything she does, but who really inspires me, was Nancy Pelosi ran for office the first time at 47 years old, everybody. She stayed home, raised her kids, and was going to wait to do it until her youngest daughter went to college. But I was at an event where she was at Brown when my daughter graduated, and she said she jumped in the game. I think her daughter was a senior in high school, but asked her permission. And she became the Speaker of the House, and she didn't even get in the game until she was 47. So, whether you're 19, whether you're, 55 or whatever, we all have some years left. I just think once we're 80, male or female, I think it's time to put your hat up and advise the younger folks.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what Kathy says. I don't really care whether it is a man or a woman in the office. I just want to see somebody that's not going to croak tomorrow, or somebody that is as deviant as Trump is. I would just like to see a wholesome young person that is looking towards the future. Because, seriously, guys, however you think about Biden, there's not much future left for him to look at.
And I think I think he must know that, but I have to, knowing politics the way that I do and who I am, I have to just say to you that in this last week, in these last 10 days, the Biden administration has passed more legislation for middle-class American families. The last president who did that was FDR, okay? And so we can remember the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS Act, the PACT Act, the bipartisan gun law, the infrastructure law, job record creation, the first African-American Supreme Court justice, a woman, historically diverse cabinet. This is this man. And it's not just him, it's his cabinet, his administration. These are the people who are working to change the lives of Americans. So, why he is this older president, and I get it, and I absolutely agree with you. I have to give them credit for the things that they have been doing. And again, they're not getting the press that they should be getting, because all we're looking at is the former guy and all the crap that goes along with him. And that's really kind of the bummer. But there are amazing things being done right now that are really encouraging. At climate change, things that we have been looking for years and years and years, and those things have happened. That inflation pact got signed this morning. That will change lives in the United States. Literally, it will. So
it's really sad how we prefer to live a reality type of lifestyle than think about what real life is like.
Yeah, well, but we're all guilty of it, all of us. And so this is one of those things we need to reflect on ourselves. Why am I picking up my news feed a lot more this week? Because Trump's on it again, and I vowed that I would not watch any more things about him, right? And we know it's going to trickle and trickle and trickle. So nothing new is going to come out for a while now on that rate, right? So it doesn't need to be in the news for a while.
No.
Like any other raid that happens, we don't even know what happens, but because it's him, we know. And, there's some positive for him because his base is getting riled up. So we all have to understand that.
I'll give you another thing that pissed me off this week. This was definitely a piss me off week. So I go to the gym several times a week and I run on the treadmill. And when I'm on the treadmill, I always watch CNN. Right, that's what's on there. Okay, and I kind of basically know what they're going to do, but it's a good way to run. So the other day I decided that right next to CNN is Fox, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna watch this for a few minutes because I just will do that. You know what I mean? It'll make me crazy, but I'll do it. And it was that show that's on. It's in the morning. It's called Outnumbered, and it's usually one guy and four women, basically. First of all, they all they're all the women look like a particular way, which drives me crazy, but that's another conversation. So anyway, I'm watching, and their topic for that morning, they spend a half an hour on, literally, is the fact that Kamala Harris's husband went food shopping at a Whole Foods last week one day, and his limousine, his SUVs with all the Secret Service guys took up parking that was close to the store. And they called it liberal privilege on the parking lot for a half an hour. All right. So I'm like, the world, all this crap is going on in the world, and that's what they want to talk about for half an hour? I mean, the news is so polarized.
But Patty, that makes perfect sense why they would do that. Because the people that are watching Fox News that are seriously
Right.
seriously watching it, they can't handle anything that's, complex. So what would be bothering them, what they can relate to is, oh, when I go to Walmart and I can't get a parking spot. So Fox News is brilliant in how they're, getting the base riled up and knowing what to do. So I totally get what you're saying. I tell you, I've every once in a while try to watch Fox News just because I think, know your enemy. And I can't do it. Like I start it and I just get like a physical strange sensation comes over me and I have to turn it off.
Like anxiety sets in.
Totally.
Yeah.
I like start yelling at, I'm not going to yell at the TV at the gym, but like, I was like, oh my God, this is exactly why I can't hardly bring myself to do it.
But I think we all need to, as women, then understand something that as people who, whether or not you're Republican or Democrat, we have to think about there is a group of women who aren't as educated, who follow this information, and their rights are under attack, and the government wants them to stay ignorant, and the government wants them to stay poor, and they're in a cycle. And the only way for them to get out of that cycle is for women who are privileged and are educated to get into positions of power so that, we can help all women. Because I do think, unlike, maybe this is stereotyping, but I don't know that men actually care about all men. I think men tend to care about the ones that are like themselves. Whereas I do think women, we've all been squashed by men, whether we're poor, whether we went to Harvard, whether we worked, whether we didn't. So we have some commonality. We all, if you have a child, whether you're, elite or not, what it is that you want a better life for a child. So, I do think also, kind of getting back to your thing at the gym and watching Fox News do this, we have a huge responsibility to make the world better for those who are caught up in this bullshit. And it's not their fault that they're caught up in this bullshit, right? Because it's a cycle, and, topics for other days, but, like I'm already having in my mind, something to talk about the next time we meet, but I don't want to open up that can of worms now because people are busy lives and,
well, that's actually a perfect segue because our time is up. So one word of advice on how we can be impactful right now. So each of you, how can we be impactful right now? How can we make shit happen this minute? Patty.
Oh, what I'm gonna say vote. I mean, that's what I have to go to. That's my go-to, especially right now. You have to, make a plan and figure out how are you going to go vote, and you have to do it. We absolutely have to do it. There's just no way around it. You want more women in positions of power. You want them to have county positions and city positions and your school board, like all of that. It's just as critical as the presidency. So go vote, please.
So, Kathy.
Okay. You have to act or help somebody who is acting. So all of the knowledge and wonderful things you guys know is useless, myself included, if we're not doing something with it. So if you don't have the time, or you can't act, or you're still just not quite there, whatever it is that you're riled up about right now, then help somebody who is doing it.
Cool. My action for the week is I'm actually going to Hopefully she may listen to this at some stage. Kamala Harris, just give me a phone call or text me and let me know where you are and what you're doing this week to be impactful. I know you're on vacation, so take a few days off, rest, but let us know what you're doing to be impactful. So guys out there listening to this, just know that the three of us are not celebrities. None of us have PhDs in politics. I think we all live off of the right thing to do. And we all live off, the three of us, on making shit happen. Hey, that's our diploma. It's make shit happen. So we are the professors of making shit happen.
I'll go there. I'll go there. Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, have a great week, and send us your comments, please, so that we can discuss what pisses you off or what you're passionate about or how you're being impactful. Patty and Kathy, thank you so much. This has been terrific, and we'll see you whenever out there. Cheers, guys.
Bye, everybody.